Stage 3. I fucking hate Stage 3. It is the hardest goddamn stage in the game. But it is more or less identical in both versions.
The only real difference here is the boss. In Life Force, there are a couple of small dragons that show up as mini-bosses and are fairly easy to dispatch. The end boss is a gigantic fucking dragon head. In the PC Engine title, the boss is a larger version of the Life Force mini-boss dragons, and it's obscenely easy to kill.
Stage 4.
Another huge change. In Salamander, we're now looking at a stage we saw 2 stages ago in the Nintendo game. The structure is almost identical, but the boss is just the bouncing balls of doom boss we saw as the first of 2 bosses in Stage 2 of the NES version. To be fair though, that boss is much harder in the PC Engine game because that system could handle more on-screen objects. So now there are many more bouncing balls of doom. Now, on the Nintendo side, we see something completely different. Not a boring asteroid field or a retread of a previous stage. No. This stage is basically a flight through a giant monster using unique sprites and hazards, plus a high-speed section filled with power-up capsules. The boss is a floating skull that is easily dispatched, but if you take more than a minute to kill it, the eyes come out of the head and start chasing you around. Destroying it takes us to
Stage 5. Wow. Just wow.
In the HuCard game, it's a retread of Stage 2, except horizontally scrolling instead of vertically. Asteroids on a black background.
But this version does have a unique enemy we don't see anywhere in the NES card. That enemy has a unique attack. Most enemies try to kill your ship, but not this enemy. This enemy tries to kill you, the player, and it tries to do it by inducing a motherfucking epileptic seizure.
It's the Disco Bot from hell. Unreal. The boss is a big spaceship that takes too long to kill because it fires bouncing balls of doom at you that don't actually bounce, but they do deflect your shots. Over on the NES cart, the stage is a blue cavern which gives way to an Egyptian temple. While this makes no fucking sense whatsoever in terms of the theme of the game, especially since the game's name was changed to indicate that the entire thing takes place inside a living planet monster, or whatever, it's a really awesome stage. Good level designs on display, and the boss is a giant sarcophagus head surrounded by flashing balls that deflect your shots, making it take entirely too fucking long to kill. Well, at least there's some consistency in the boss designs.
It's the final stage. It's time for you to jump in the Big Viper and take on these alien bastards in their home turf.
The stage layout is basically the same, but the PC Engine's beefier hardware makes that version stage a bit harder and a bit longer. You start on a black star field with some minimal but cool looking background images. When you reach a certain point, giant flashing rainbow bullets start coming out of nowhere. While the NES version also does this, there aren't that many. Here though, we get an assload of them. They can be destroyed, but it still gets pretty hairy. After that, you face 3 mini-bosses that resemble the big core from the original Gradius. These are missing in the NES game, but in the Big Blue Cave level there's a similar section, so I guess it's a wash. After that, it's a descent towards the final boss with gun turrets and the famous Konami Moai heads. The Moai heads are more annoying here because in the NES version, only the last 2 move. On the HuCard, they all jump around. It's like a damn House of Pain concert in this shaft.
Jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down.
Once you clear that, it's time to go face to face to giant orb with the Zelos Force, the ultimate boss of Life Force. Now, in the NES version, you just fly up to it. There's a big snake flying around it. I think it's supposed to be the snake from the cover. Remember, we talked about the badass snake on the cover, except in the game it's not nearly that badass. But anyways, you kill it, then you have a certain amount of time to destroy Zealous Force. If you crash into it or you try to fly around it, you get sent back to the beginning of the stage. In the PC Engine version, if you fail to destroy Zealous Force before the screen scrolls forward, you get sent all the way back to the beginning of the game. I don't have footage of that. I think the reasons are obvious.
In the PC Engine version, Zealous comes right up your ass and then starts shooting lightning at you. And this isn't just any lightning. This is special lightning that kills your options. Yeah, no extra firepower here. It's just you and Zealous. And now, the escape sequence.
Alright, we killed Zealous Force. Now it's time for the escape sequence. One of the most infamously challenging sequences in video game history. The Life Force escape sequence. Now remember earlier we were talking about lives? And I was like, well, we'll come back to that. Well, now we're coming back to it. In the NES version of this game, whether you're playing one player or two player, if you die, you respawn instantly. This means, especially if you've put in the 30 lives code, you can pretty easily cheese your way through the escape sequence. Take a look. This is me doing it on the NES version. Pathetic, I know. Look, hey, you know what? Lay off, okay? I could sit here and make excuses all night about why I had to cheese through the escape sequence in the NES version, but that's not going to get us anywhere. The point I'm trying to make is that in the PC Engine version, if you're playing two players, you can still cheese your way through it. Two-player game, you respawn instantly. Now, the problem comes in the one-player game. When you're playing Salamander, one player, you use Gradius-style respawn points. So if you die during the escape sequence, you get sent back to the beginning of the escape sequence. So now, on my last life of my last continue, let's check out the PC Engine escape sequence. Yeah, that redeems some of my cred, right? Right? I'm hardcore. I'm holding it down for the G's and the... Right. Nerd. This guy. Okay. That's not the point. Ending sequences.
The ending is pretty much the same, though on the PC Engine version it looks much better, of course. Oddly enough, the NES version lacks any credit sequence. It plays the same victory fanfare, but it just shows the old Konami logo while it plays, and then it loops the game. Credits are present in the other version. While this isn't exactly a review show, I do plan on giving my recommendation at the end of each episode. So which gets the edge? Honestly, even though the PC Engine version is better looking and better sounding, the levels in the NES game are so much more interesting and better designed, and the Gradius power-up system allows for more versatility, making it the better game in my book. On the flip side, the PC Engine version is still great and a must-own for any shoot-'em-up fan. Still, it's tragically hard to come by in this country. The easiest way to get it would be to have a Japanese PlayStation Network account. They're not that hard to set up, and you can import cards to buy the game for 600 points, which is about $7. Not bad for such a classic, and you can play it on both your PS3 and your PSP. On the Japanese Virtual Console, not only are both of these games available, but so is the MSX version of Salamander, which is yet again a completely different game. Sadly, on the US Virtual Console, only the NES game is available. but it's easily worth your $5 there if you don't already have the cart.
If you want the Hue card, you could always buy it from eBay, but it's pretty rare in this country, and it's going to cost you, well, at least a complete copy is going to cost you probably about $30. Now, that being said, if you have an American TurboGrafx, it's not going to work because there's a difference in pin count between Japanese Hue cards and American turbo chips. So you either need an adapter or a Japanese system. Honestly, the easiest way to play this game is with a Japanese PSN account. Well, legitimately play this game, and if you're emulating, shame on you. That's it. We're all finished, but make sure you tune in next month as I take a look at 2 different games with the same name.